Okay, how about now? Let's see if that one little button there worked. Anything now? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Anybody? Everybody? Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it looks like they did finally connect my camera and my audio, my microphone. Gosh, I am so sorry. And we've lost a whole bunch of people. I told them that we were just going to cancel this and go for next week. So let me tell you what. I've lost so many people because we've tried 3 or 4 different. I tried YouTube 3 times. They changed my, and I'm just going to have to leave a half hour early. They changed our St. Vincent de Paul meeting. Instead of 6 to 7:30, now it's 6:30 to 8. The first Monday of the month is a Zoom meeting. When I use the Zoom camera and then try to do the YouTube camera, it just does not work. I have to reboot everything. Well, everything I had set up in anticipation of this evening got shut down when I had to reboot to get my camera activated off from going off of the Zoom and onto YouTube. So it's just a mess. So from now on, I know that I've got to leave my meeting with St. Vincent de Paul at 7:30. I can't give any more long presentations like that. Just have to get here later and get here and get everything all turned up. Let me see if anybody else. How many people are you seeing on the live here right now? I can't see that on StreamYard. Oh, there we go. I can. 15. Okay, so it says we got 15. That's enough. We'll go for it. I'll go ahead and try it. We'll see what we can do. So we're working on Surviving the Coming War, a guide to wartime survival for civilians. So basically some good ideas for you. Okay, let me text Sue Me. She left. Wait a minute. There was a log, a spreadsheet that went to Steve, not on the log I was given. I'm on my live. Okay, so I'm my president from St. Vincent de Paul is trying to clarify some stuff, and she's saying I have something that I don't have. I can prove it to her, but I mean, I'm about ready to resign from the position. I don't like games. Okay. But I was going to text Sue Me and tell her to come back. Let me see here. No, it's not text, it's message. So where's my messaging stuff here? Messenger. I know what I'll do. I'll go up here. Gosh, now I'm going to get into I can't get into Facebook. It's unbelievable. Oh my gosh. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we're going to click there. I tell you, this technology is something else. Okay, so here's Sue. And then we'll get this started. Yay. Okay, there we go. I got her. Okay, so let's get this going. This is pretty kind of exciting. Very short chapters, but a lot of information in 2 very short chapters. And I've got some fun stuff to show you as a result of it. So let me see, what's that? That's YouTube. I can get rid of that. Just trying to reduce some memory here so I can show you some stuff. There we go. Okay, let me see what we got here. We have, who's made it so far? And I'll put my glasses down. Little Lone Prepper, Utah Mike, Laura Mannion, Shenanigans, Barbara Bell, good evening, welcome. Suzanne Goulet, Holly Ivans, I think I said, Laura Mannion, look at all these fantastic people, Scott Hummer, Utah Mike. I'm glad you all found me. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Butch Graves. Good evening. And Theoxerus. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me see if there's anybody else. Higgy Homestead, good evening. Welcome. Okay, so here we are. Chapter 5, Wartime Evacuation. I don't know if you saw what we did in Houston with Hurricane Wilma, I believe it was. People were trying to evacuate. They're basically only, if you go east on Interstate 10, you're along the coast. West on Interstate 10 goes to San Antonio, basically kind of in the middle of the state, a little bit south of the middle, but basically in the middle of the state. You can go northwest on 290, which is a 2-lane road each direction from Houston to Austin, or you can take Interstate 35 due north to Dallas. What happened was the people trying to evacuate Houston, Interstate 10 got shut down. Interstate 10 between Houston and Katy is called the Katy Freeway. 12 lanes each direction, and it got plugged up because of people trying to evacuate Houston. Interstate 35 is 3 lanes each direction going up towards Dallas, and it got plugged up. People got on the freeway with less than a full tank of gas. Once freeways get plugged at 10, 20% over their normal capacity, they get plugged up. People were sitting, running out of gasoline, hot, humid conditions. People lost their temper. Gas stations ran out of snacks, of drinks, of gasoline, everything else. It was a mess. Trying to see people evacuate out of a large city is disastrous. So what at the beginning of this chapter, Russian General Vasily Gurko, and he's talking basically about his experience in wartime, says, men who had fought in several wars and many bloody battles told me that no horror of a battlefield can be compared to the awful spectacle of the ceaseless exodus of a population. So at least soldiers are disciplined and they're going to stay in convoy formation. And they know that if the vehicle in front stops, they stop and they turn their engine off. And there's all kinds of protocols that we go through. So we don't have, hello, Kaylin. So we don't have the same mindset as people who are trying to evacuate somewhere. And but it was terrible. So now the state of Texas, on all of its hurricane evacuation routes, has a declaration that those exiting lanes from an evacuation city will be augmented by at least 2/3 of the lanes in the opposite direction. So Interstate 35 now, which is 3 lanes northbound, 3 lanes southbound, will become, during a hurricane evacuation declaration, 5 lanes northbound, 1 lane southbound. And now it's going to pose a little bit of a problem because you've got the entrance ramps and exit ramps are going to be backwards and everything else, but they're going to make it work. The thing is just get people moving and get them out, get the traffic flowing. So mass migrations and migrations have been initiated by war for thousands of years and certainly will be part of the coming war. We see that with natural disasters. We see that with wartime and a lot of things. So there's 2 reasons you may evacuate. Number one, it's kind of an escalation of events over time. He calls it constantly worsening conditions. You're going to see lawlessness. You're going to see grid down situations. You're going to see a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, I saw a Newsbreak report just before trying to log on to the first time I tried out of 4 times to log on tonight, that Russia has withdrawn from the nuclear protocol agreements that we have. And so, they no longer have any nuclear agreements with the United States whatsoever. And what was the other thing? There were two parts of that. Let me check my news break here. Come on. If it's going to cooperate, notifications. There we go. I don't see it now. I'm not going to spend that much time working on it. But anyhow, we are getting closer and closer to war. It's just unbelievable what's going on. And the second part was that China and Russia have signed an agreement, kind of like a if one is attacked, they're both attacked agreement. The second one is an immediate and impending disaster. So something is imminent that you're going to be attacked, or something is imminent that it's going to happen. So either way, if you don't get ahead of the mass, you're going to be stuck in it. And anytime you evacuate, you become a refugee. I just want you to remember that. You have to make up your mind. You're either going to leave early or you're going to hunker down. That's all. That's the only two choices you have. At the very first sign of any kind of trouble, whether it's an escalation event or it's a rapid escalation event, you've got to get out of there, be ahead of the crowd, or don't be part of the crowd. Those are your only two options. So what are some of the things that you need? He goes through, he refers to a different chapter we'll get into later. Basically, your bug out bag contents that everybody talks about. So if you're going to be bugging out, make sure you have a bug out bag you can rapidly throw into your vehicle and get out of town. Make sure you keep as close to a full tank of gas as possible. We have a rule here in our family that we never let a tank gas get below half. If we do, then we immediately fill up, even if it's at a costlier place. I like using Costco. Not only is it the cheapest gas in town, but I'm not going to say cheap. That implies quality. Least expensive gas in town, but you also get a 5% discount if you use your Costco gas card. So I'm all for any kind of little pennies I can save here and there. Planning for wartime evacuation. Get your stuff. Have it. We have our bug out bags are on 2-wheel dollies. I've zip tied them. I think I did a short on that. Showed you where we have ours on 2-wheel dollies, so that we can just take them and throw them in the trunk and we're gone. That way, if we get caught and traffic is not moving, then we can pull the 2-wheel dolly. We don't have this heavy backpack on. Consider things like that. So consider your primary goal, your primary way of bugging out, your secondary, your alternate, and then your tertiary or whatever. Fourth, there's a term for that: primary, secondary, alternate, and contingency, PSAC plans. So I have 4 different plans: primary, secondary, alternate, and conditional. Is it conditional? Anyhow, C. Make sure you have a plan. What if you're going to stay hunkered down? How are you going to handle that? So make sure you have a war survival action plan. He goes into 2 different kinds of conditions that he talks about. The first one is civilian survival conditions. I believe that is his, because I have never heard of that before, and I did a search on DuckDuckGo, could not find anything about survival conditions, CIRCONs 1 through 5. He does the same thing. CIRCON 5 is basic international relations with limited foreign conflicts. Continue to prepare, build up your supplies, adjust your plans, establish escape routes. So that's your normal everyday thing. So 5 is the lowest, 1 is the highest. And he goes up on this page, he's got all 5 of his survival conditions. Condition 1 being an invasion of allied territories, threats, limited use of tactical nuclear weapons, initiation of drastic security and economic regulations. And then he says the civilian actions are either dig in or bug out. That's the decision you got to make. Fight or flight. bomb shelter, fallout shelter, combat position, emergency aid, self-rescue, survival camp, self-reliance, help your neighbor, do what is necessary. Then he's got all the survival conditions in between. He then talks about DEFCON and the 5 DEFCON positions. I'm going to talk to you because this is something I do know a little bit about. I was in military intelligence for 21 years. Let me see here. This is the crest for the U.S. Army Intelligence Center and School. This is Field Station Augsburg, the largest intercept site we had in the U.S. military. This is the 303rd ASA Battalion, 303rd MI Battalion, Army Security Agency. This is USACS, the United States Army Intelligence Center and School. This is 207th MI Brigade. This was the MI Brigade to support the 7th Corps during Desert Storm. This is my USACS Master Instructor badge. Gosh, I got all kinds of stuff. What have we got up here? Up here, I've got the Army Security Agency Lightning Fast Chicken Plucker. I've got the INSCOM. I've got the Association of Old Crows. 21 years, military intelligence officer. Okay. I was not privy to DEFCON. DEFCON, defense condition, is only for strategic forces. That's going to be our nuclear submarines that launch ICBMs. That's going to be our Minuteman and other land-based ICBMs. It's going to be our airborne strategic forces, the B-2s, the B-52s, okay? Those are the only 3 that know anything about DEFCON. I would pull field duty officer for an MI brigade that was headed by a 3-star general. And so even my 3-star general did not know DEFCON because we did not have a need to know. Anybody who tells you they know what the DEFCON condition, that's going to be tautological. Anybody who tells you that they know what the defense condition is lying to you. It's supposition. Only those 3 assets know the defense condition besides the president. But we can go through them, okay? DEFCON 5 is fade out, low status of readiness or normal condition. DEFCON 4 is double take, increased intelligence and security above normal requirements. DEFCON 3 is roundhouse, increased force readiness beyond normal state. Now, remember, when we talk force readiness, we're only talking about our strategic response units or strategic attack units, whichever way you want to look at it. DEFCON 2 is fast paced, which means we're going to the next state of war. So our strategic forces, submarines, bombers, and missiles, ICBMs, have to be able to launch their weaponry within 6 hours. Okay, DEFCON 1, cocked pistol, nuclear war is imminent. They've got to be able to push the button the minute that they get DEFCON 1. So everybody's on full status alert. That's the strategic forces. If you think that these tank battalions up at Fort Hood know what the defense condition is, they can't even do anything. And we're going to get into that later about targeting of different assets inside the United States. They probably will not even, if it were me, if I were the targeting officer for the Russians, I wouldn't target Fort Hood. That's a waste of a nuke. I mean, how is Fort Hood going to do anything to retaliate against Russia in the event of a nuclear war? Those tanks can't do anything sitting at Fort Hood, Texas. And so there's no need to waste a nuke wiping them out, okay? But that's my personal opinion as an MI guy. So evacuation routes and methods. Phase 1 is your escape. You want to get out of there as quickly as possible, ahead of the crowd, have your route planned, shortest route. Make sure you have plans for where you're going to refuel, if you need extra water or anything like that. Phase 2 is your travel. Take a look at satellite images. We're going to get into a little bit of the hassles of travel here in just a minute. Phase 3 is going to be your approach to your destination. So as you're getting closer, remember that in almost every case, you're going to be passing through small rural towns en route to your destination. You're going to have overpasses. You're going to have interchanges. There are going to be people who are going to try to take advantage of that and block those off and exact a toll for you to pass through. Okay. So there are going to be bad eggs out there. You've got to be prepared and thought process ahead of time that there are going to be bad eggs out there. How am I going to handle that? So I saw a new person. Let me go back here and say hi. I saw Higgy Homestead again, but I saw somebody else new. I thought, oh, Joe Primal. Hello, Joe Primal. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Okay. As we're talking evacuation, I want to share something with you. This is where I go every morning. So let me see here. Where's my share? I think that's share screen. Yes. Share screen. Okay. You need to check this out every morning when you get up. Let me show you the importance of this. Okay, I hope you can see it. Did it come up? Let me see if I got this done right. View tab. There we go. Okay, this is called windy.com, windy.com. So if you take a look at it, what it does is it shows the prevailing winds. So I've got Austin marked here. And so we can see right now that all the prevailing winds are basically coming from east to west. Okay. So up here is Killeen. This is Fort Hood. Down here is San Antonio. Down here is Houston. So if a nuke were to go off right now in Houston, and let's assume it's a surface blast, which I don't think they're going to do, then the fallout would basically come along this line. If they take out San Antonio is in the top 10 largest cities in the United States. The fallout is basically going to go west. Follow these arrows for windy.com. It's going to go west from where we are. If they take out Fort Hood, I don't think that's a target, but if they do, and they have a nuke that's a ground surface burst there, that wind is going to go west. Austin's pretty safe. So I'm up here in Round Rock, okay? So here is Austin. If a nuke goes off in Austin, the wind is taking it this way. So I am fairly safe from fallout because everything's going to be going west. Houston's down here. I'm outside Houston. I won't get the Houston fallout. I won't get the San Antonio fallout. I won't get the Fort Hood fallout. I won't get the Austin fallout. So I'm pretty happy because I've checked windy.com today that I don't have that big of a threat from any kind of fallout should they go with the surface burst. So every day, check out the prevailing winds on windy.com so you can give yourself a little bit of reassurance or a little bit of advance notice about where you are vis-a-vis downwind fallout target. Okay. Now, the second part that you need that, yes, I am pretty much safe from any fallout, but it also tells me some things. Okay. It tells me that I don't want to head south because if I head south, I'm going to fall into that fallout trail from Houston. I don't want to head west. If I head west, I'm going to fall out. I'm going to get into the fallout trails from both Killeen, Fort Hood, as well as Austin. I don't want to head north, too far north. I'll get into the fallout trail for Dallas. So I'm pretty much, the idea for me right now is going to be to hunker down or to move northeast or east. Okay. More than likely a little bit northeast. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to hunker down because the prevailing winds tell me my chances of running into a fallout trail are greater if I move than if I hunker down. Okay. The other thing he points out that I've got highlighted here is most rural communities will not welcome unprepared and unskilled strangers straining their limited resources. You're not going to be a friend to them. They don't want to see you. They don't want to help you. They need to survive themselves. Everything's going to be every man for himself. And the second thing that I've got highlighted on this page is urban escape. The further into the urban area you live, the harder it's going to be to get out. The gauntlet of blocked streets, bridges, overpasses, shooters, civil disorder, fires, and other hazards multiplies with every mile between you and the outside city limits. I already gave you this statistic, a 10 to 20% increase in outgoing traffic combined with inevitable accidents and breakdowns and gas stop shortages will stop everything, all the traffic. Excuse me, I'm sorry. One of the things he recommends is keep a pair of heavy-duty bolt cutters in your vehicle. I would be cautious about that, however. There's a lot of farmers, you start cutting bolts on their fence, and they have eyesight of that, you may get a hunting round in your very close proximity. Talks about other recommended urban escape routes. He has a whole page of them here. Talks about bivouacking and hideouts. Make sure you have binoculars so you can see things from distance as you're evacuating, as well as night vision gear so you can travel at night if necessary. Talks about recommended evacuation and escape vehicles. Okay, so great chapter, only about 8 pages long, great chapter. Chapter 6, bombs, missiles, and drones. Gosh, every war has something new that becomes a game changer. You know, the World War I, submarine, airplane, machine gun, tanks. World War II, aircraft carrier, naval battles. Very good submarines, very good air battleships with long-range 16-inch guns. Targeting was fantastic. Long-range bombers, the B-17, the B-24. I'm just unbelievable. Finally, the B-29, and with the B-29 came the atomic bomb. So that was a game changer as well. Now we're into this, looks like precursor to World War III, drone technology. Gosh, the stuff they're doing with drones on the battlefield over in Europe is unbelievable. I would hate to be an infantryman. I would hate to be an armored cav or armored a tanker. Those guys, they're just targets because of the drone technology. And everybody is investing in drone technology. I think drone technology is going to be for World War III what submarines, aircraft carriers, long-range bombers were for World War II. Make sure I went to a gun show and I found some anti-drone 12-gauge shells. So it's basically 4 pellets, but it's got a net in between. So we shoot it at the drone and the net expands and it gets caught up in the rotors for the drone and takes it down. So that may be your only defense. Expensive. I got 3 rounds for $20. Cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, and tactical nuclear weapons. So he recommends 2 books. One of them I strongly recommend. We've already done it as a book review, and that is Crescent Kearney's Nuclear War Survival Skills. I have both the original. I bought it when I was in Field Station Augsburg in 1977. And then I have the one that's been updated for the Ukraine War. And that was updated just 2 years ago. The original one's gray. The newer one is green. Not that much of a difference. There's maybe 8 pages added, but get the newer one. That's definitely something you want to have in your library. So I want to take you to a couple things because he doesn't really get that much into it, but I want to show you a couple things here really quickly. The first one is I want to talk about nuclear targeting. So let me go to share screen again. Share screen. This is a site that I found that says that these are what they believe are the targets in the United States. And they give you a couple of I hope I didn't knock it down. I deleted the wrong. Yeah, I meant to delete Wendy and I deleted my map of sites. Let me see if I can do a history here and get it called back up. But so I'm going to call up this. If I can find it. Wendy. believe that's it. It's a JPEG. No, I'm not going to find it. I'm sorry. It's what I get for being so hurried this evening. But anyhow, for most of you, there's two scenarios. So number one is, what would be the top 100 targets that they would look for? Number one, they're going to look for things that can hit them back. So Dyess Air Force Base, Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. What's the name? Barksdale in Missouri. Barksdale has the B-2s. Minot, North Dakota has the B-52s. Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene has the B-1s. Those are our three bombers that have all of our nuclear warheads that we're going to counterattack with. Then you take a look at things like Diego Garcia, which is out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. That would be a target, because that's a very easy launch point. That's our only launch point in the Indian Ocean that can get up over the Himalayas and into Russia. Then they're going to take a look at our command and control, and that's going to include our EAM transmitters that would give the messages to our nuclear submarines underwater to attack. So there's two transmitters, one on the East Coast in Maine, I believe it is, one on the West Coast in Washington. Those two are going to be taken out. Then they're going to take out our nuclear submarine bases and our nuclear submarine base tending capabilities. They're going to take out the third portion, which is going to be our Minuteman silos, hopefully that they can hit our silos before we launch. Those will probably be surface bursts, because they want to get as close to the actual underground missile as possible. So the fields in Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, the Dakotas, Wyoming, those are going to be surface bursts. I'm fairly certain that they would do that. So that, not because they want to get the amount of fallout, but because they want to get deep. I saw myself go static for a minute. Not because they want to produce fallout, but because they want to get deep down and destroy those targets. Then they're going to go for command and control. Then they're going to go for terror. Okay, so I would say that probably the 50 state capitals, or they might go in order of the largest cities. But just imagine the air bursts over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That would be like, basically, you would probably, that same thing, we would probably need 2 of them for Manhattan, okay, alone. So you'd probably need about 5 or 6 to take care of New York City, 5 or 6 to take care of Los Angeles. So Chicago, the same thing. Houston, the same thing. So if you're doing air bursts, you're going to need a couple of those to do that. If they launch from what they're calling the Club K, that is basically the same thing as a 54-foot trailer that they can make it look like a container on a transport ship, and it could be sitting in one of our docks right now. So a launch from one of those, it can reach the interior United States within minutes, 9 to 12 minutes, okay? If they had a ship in the harbor in Houston and they wanted to take out Houston, response time is going to be 3 minutes. I mean, it's going to be, minimum. Same thing with New York City, Los Angeles, any port area. If they have these transport ships with Club K, they're gone without any warning. If you're close to a fighter base, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm close to Fort Hood. I'm not worried about it. I don't think, those tanks are useless. They won't even be deployed by the time the war is over. Now, if I am worried about those tanks, what I would target would be the closest airfield long enough to accommodate a C-5, a C-140, a C-141, a C-7, those types of transport aircraft that we can load the tanks up onto and move them somewhere. Now, we used to have something called Reforger, redeployment of forces to Germany. So before the wall fell, we would deploy the 1st Infantry Division from Fort Riley, Kansas on 24-hour notice. The entire division would be loaded up on C-141s and C-5As at Salina, Kansas, and then transported over to Funari Barracks and Coleman Barracks in Mannheim, Germany, where we had what was called POMCAS, a positioning of military containers for the United States. So we had an entire division's worth of equipment in storage in these warehouses in Germany. All we had to do was transport those troops over. We could get an entire division deployed to Germany to defend against the Soviet invasion in 72 hours We can't do that anymore. We don't have any more POMCAs. Okay. So once our runways are gone, our ability to react kinetically to an attack is also gone. Oh, wow, look at that. Yes, Scott says that the submarine launched ballistic missiles may be 3 minutes. It depends on the target. If it's a coastal target, you're absolutely right. So a sub-launch ballistic missile off the coast, outside of our territorial waters, launched against New York City, 3 minutes. Boston, 3 minutes. You're absolutely right. Same thing on the West Coast. Seattle, Tacoma. What would be the Olympia, Washington, San Francisco, LA, San Diego. Those are all 3 minute targets. Absolutely correct, Scott. Now, if you want to go further interior, you're going to have, the further interior you are, the more advanced notice you will have. The last thing I want to share with you this evening before we call this a quits, and yes, I know I told you that I was going to do the drawing tonight. I'm sorry, technical difficulties. I want to get you out of here on time. If anybody knows of a good tool, let me know, and I will get it done for sure. I do owe you a copy, somebody's going to get an autographed copy of Locker 9 by Franklin Horton. And I know I owe that to you. I've been so consumed with this disaster relief, the flood victims, that it's just, I apologize. It just slipped. I do want to share this last one thing with you, and I want you to play with it. But I want you to play with it knowing that chances are the vast majority of things you think are strategic targets aren't. So number one, do me a favor. Do a Google search, a DuckDuckGo search of the most likely U.S. nuclear targets. Okay. Once you have done that, then you can go to that nuclear target that's closest to you. Boy, that didn't work. Okay, let me see here. I was going to give you a cheap and easy casserole. That's not what I wanted. Share screen. Nuke map. This is called Nuke Map, N-U-K-E-M-A-P, by Alex Wellerstein. I've shown it to you once before. So I'm going to go to the map, and I'm going to do some things here for you. So we're going to move this, the target impact, to the capital, Austin, Texas. Okay. So I'm going to put here, I want it over Austin. Go. I'm going to choose a preset warhead. And I'm going to use the Dongfeng, which is basically the strongest ICBM that we know is currently being used by our opponents. So here's the Dongfeng 4, which is basically 3.3 megatons. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, they were using the R-12 or the SS-4 by the Soviets, and that's a 2.42 megaton. So we're going to go with the Dongfeng, okay? And I want to know the casualties for this burst, and I want to know the radioactive fallout for it. So I'm going to do this two different ways. The first one I'm going to do, now remember, right now, the prevailing winds are actually going from Austin west, okay? And I'm up here, okay? So, and then Fort Hood is let me get this a little bit larger scale. So you can see the relative stuff. So Brenham, basically, here's San Antonio. Interstate 10 goes due east to Houston. Austin's here. This is Killeen. This gray area up here is Fort Hood. So that gives you a relative idea of where everything is. Now I'm going to go back and zoom in, and we're going to do an air burst of the strongest nuke we currently have in the inventory. And because it's an air burst, we're going to have minimum fallout. So if you notice, what we have here is we've got the burn, the blast effect. Let me get up here. Okay, so this is the fireball radius, the first little circle in the middle. The next one is moderate blast damage. And that's going to be about 5 miles, 6.5 miles away from ground zero. This is showing that the prevailing wind is going southeast is in this projection. This is your thermal radiation. So if you are exposed to the bomb as it explodes, you will get third-degree burns, okay? Then this up here is the light blast damage. It's only 1 pound per square inch over normal. And that goes out 18.3 miles. So here we are in Round Rock, Cedar Park. So we're pretty much free from that blast that's going to be done over Austin, Texas. Now I want to go back. I want to do the same detonation. Notice that there is no fallout, okay? So we're going to redo this, but I'm going to, instead of an air burst, I'm going to choose a surface burst and redetonate it. And I want you to take a look at the difference. This is assuming a prevailing winds go to the northeast. So once again, okay, we've got the fireball radius here. We have the radiation radius, okay, which is the green. Then the red is going to be our heavy blast damage. It's smaller because it's a surface burst. We've got the moderate blast damage, 5 psi, and then this is going to be our 1 psi. Notice that the blast has less effect than we did with the air burst, okay? Because a lot of that's going straight down and being absorbed by the earth. However, anything in the fireball of the explosion that makes contact with the earth, irradiates the earth at a super high temperature, causes it to go up into the mushroom cloud. Then as it goes along the prevailing winds, it cools, it becomes heavier than air, and it falls to the ground, which we call fallout. So notice the arrow of fallout, of which direction it's going, and the concentrations. So now you can come over here and see the concentrations of the fallout. So this is minimum fallout, okay? This is maximum fallout. Notice that it's going to go very concentrated right here along this thing. It's going to stop, and then it's going to start falling down again as it starts cooling, okay? Then you have 100 rads per minute area. So this was 1,000 rads per minute or per hour. This is 100 rads per hour. This is 10 rads per hour, and this is 1 rad per hour, okay? So it's going to give you the overall fallout prediction for the area that you're concerned with. So let's do this one more time, and let me show you an example, okay? I'm going to change this to Fort Hood. And let's just say that I'm going to bomb Fort Hood, okay? And so now let's take a look. Well, it appears Copper's Cove is pretty safe. Fort Hood's pretty much gone. Colleen is pretty much gone. It's going to move up towards Waco. That's what it looks like. Yep. So here's Waco. So that area of the high rad is going to go right over Waco. Notice that Temple, Belton are pretty much free of any of the radioactive effects because they're not in this cone of fallout. Okay. And so this is the blast area. This is the fallout area. Okay. So now let me get back to where we are, where I can see the comments. And so the name of that is nukemap.com. And or Nuke Map by Alex Wellerstein, if you just want to do a Google search. So anyhow, I just want you to be aware of that. You can play with those two tools, windy.com. Take a look at, do a DuckDuckGo search for the most likely targets in the United States, although I disagree with them, but it still gives you a planning tool. And then use the Nuke Map by Alex Wellerstein to give you an idea of the difference between an air burst and a surface burst, and which area you need to plan for as far as your evacuation routes. So, Leslie G, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, so I don't think Luke Air Force Base is a target, to be honest with you. However, Phoenix is what, the 5th largest city in the United States right now? I think it will be a target. So I think that would be a terrorist target. But Luke, you aren't going to be attacked because of Luke. I saw one map that said Fort Huachuca is going to be attacked. Fort Huachuca is the home of military intelligence. It's a school. So you've got a 3-star general there, and you've got, you train the 98 series MOS, the signals intelligence MOS, as far as the analysts and reporters. You've got human intelligence training there. You've got imagery intelligence training there. You've got the officer, MI officer basic course, MI officer advanced course, electronic warfare staff officer course. You got all these courses. All of this is a training facility. That's no threat to anybody. Most of those courses are 12 to 18 weeks long. So, taking it out, you're not going to do anything strategic. But that's just the way it is. But just ask yourself, am I close to a National Guard battalion, okay, to one of their training facilities? And do they have a bunch of tanks there? Is that a likely target? Yeah, I don't think so. Those tanks aren't going to do anything in a nuclear war, okay? So let me see if there's any last minute questions here, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you for your patience with the problems of the technology this evening. Oh, I saw somebody say they were going to prep for a 3-minute warning. I did a video. It's a short. Let me see what the number is. I think it's something like 167, maybe even less than that. Where's my logbook? I don't know where my logbook is. Of course, I'm totally discombobulated tonight. To take a look on my shorts and do a search for PPE, okay, nuclear PPE, because I have designed a little PPE kit that fits inside a 1-gallon Ziploc. So you're going to get some booties like what the painters use to cover your shoes. You're going to get a $1 cheapo poncho, one of those plastic ponchos. All you want to do is keep that radioactive dust from getting it on your clothes and inside your body. Then you're going to get some sort of a hat to cover the tops and keep the poncho, hood tight. You're going to get some goggles so that it doesn't get into your eyes. You're going to get an N95 mask, and you're going to get some gloves, some nitrile gloves. So now you've got 99.9% of your body covered where the radioactive dust isn't going to get in. If you keep one of those in every seat of your vehicle, when you're out, if fallout starts happening, you've got the fallout. Now you still have the radiation from the fallout, but you can keep the fallout from getting into your body. You can rinse it off. So now when you get home, you want to get somewhere outside, take a pocket knife and cut it from the top down. So you want to get rid of everything on the top, let it fall down. You're still protected. You still have the poncho on. Then you get your knife on the inside, cut it from the top down so that you can doff that jacket or that poncho, and you're not spreading any radioactive contamination on anything. Then you finally get rid of your boots. After your boots, the last thing you get rid of is your gloves. That way you don't have anything. Then immediately go to a shower, rinse off. Do not wash. Do not use soap. Don't use anything. Just rinse off. And just 1 second. Let me show you something else. I thought I had some extra ones right over here on the buffet, but I don't. Inside my wallet and inside Helen's wallet, and I don't have my wallet. There it is. We carry rad triage dosimeters. And so your rad triage dosimeters are going to tell you how much total accumulated fallout you have absorbed. So this is in my wallet. It's rad triage. So this changes color the more nuclear radiation you're exposed to. So you're going to get rid of all that plastic off your body. And then once it's off your body and you rinse off, keep that card with you so you know how much you've been exposed to. Remember, a Geiger counter or radiation detector is kind of like the speedometer on a car. It tells you how much radiation is happening, how quick, okay? The dosimeter that you're going to carry on your body is like an odometer. It tells you how many miles you've already traveled or how much radiation total that you have absorbed, okay? Geiger counter, speedometer, dosimeter, odometer. Okay. So with that, check out that video, and it'll tell you everything I just told you real quickly. How to build your own little PPE kit to protect yourself against radiation fallout before you get home. Okay. So we're going to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. Remember, we are all in this together so we can make it through the other side together. Please continue. I love you guys. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for continuing to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other in the chat. You are the best group of viewers that any channel could ever ask for. So thank you for being there. Y'all have a great day, and please stay safe. We'll see you this coming Monday. Okay? Bye-bye.